Good morning. And I say good morning once again. How are you? Welcome back to the show. This is Garden America. We kick things off on this Saturday morning if you're watching us or listening to us live. For the rest of you, perhaps it's a pre-recorded show. Maybe you're watching us on our YouTube channel, Garden America Radio Show, after the fact. But we are live right now, at least right now as I speak. Those on BizTalk Radio, this is a pre-recorded show from last week. Many ways to watch and listen to Garden America. Brian Main, John Begnasco, Tiger Palafox. John's got his situation all worked out, Tiger. Thank you for that this morning.
That wasn't my
Tech
fault.
support.
Because
What, the feedback on the phone?
yeah, because Tiger set it up for me.
See, what you're saying is Tiger was the last one to touch your phone.
Yes. And that's my fault now.
No, actually, I just said Tiger set it up for me.
Oh, okay. I was trying to help you out there.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, we do hope you had a good week. We kick off the weekend. We've got a good show lined up today, and we are happy to be back in studio.
Yeah, hi to our guests from Ohio, Tucson.
Tucson, Ohio.
Listeners, I should say. I guess we can call them guests.
Oh, look at
California.
Dana. Dana's finally up. She's giving us a good
Dana's
morning.
finally up.
Data's finally up.
Oh, did I mention something I shouldn't have?
I don't know.
You know, it's funny because a lot of times, she's awake and she sees me off.
Yeah.
Today she was in the we call it the cat bedroom.
Oh.
The door was closed,
Uh-huh.
and I just kind of snuck out.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Does your wife get up early?
No, she never. I'm always leaving and she's asleep.
Yeah,
I just say
basically.
goodbye and then I'm out
What about the
door.
Bagnasco household?
I think almost every day she's up by at least 5 o'clock.
And what time do you wake up?
7.
Okay.
You're 7 o'clock, right?
She's up.
Yeah. Wow.
And then you're the late riser, huh?
Right. I don't know if 7 is late, though.
No. I mean, later. Yeah. 7 is not
Yeah,
late.
I get up early. So on the weekend, if I get up and it's light out, I feel like, wow, what happened to the day? The sun's up. I kind of freak out for a second because it's always dark when I get up.
Oh, when we're on vacation, my wife is the I'm on a vacation to relax,
Sleep.
not
Right.
do anything.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm on a vacation because there's things to do. We're in a new place. I want to go see them.
Oh.
And so I wake up early and then I just have to sit there for hours.
That's like me on vacation. And I'll give you an example. When we were in Rome,
Right.
so the next day, I get up, it's early, probably 6 o'clock. Dana's still sleeping. I'm going to walk around. I'm going to go out and get the lay of the land.
Yeah.
So I walk out the hotel. I make a left and a right, and there's the Coliseum.
Wow.
I'm like, okay, this is surreal because there it is. I ran back upstairs. I go, you got to come see this. You got to get up. You got to get up. Trust me.
She's like, I will get up when I want to.
You
get
got to
up.
see it's going to be there. It's going to be there.
Yeah. It's
Been
not
there
leaving.
for 2,000
It's not
years.
leaving.
It's going
Yeah.
to be there.
Yeah.
You never know, though.
Show me something new.
Yeah. You never know, though.
So
I
Dana,
had something new in my yard last week.
you discovered something new?
Yeah, I don't know if I had told you that I found on Polyantha Hill where my Polyantha roses are. I don't know what made me look under this one Polyantha rose, but there was a nest of quail eggs.
You can eat those,
Yeah.
They're really tiny. I mean, they're about the size of a quarter. But
Garnish.
anyway, they hatched and they all came up to my backyard.
Really?
So I walked out there, and there was the mother and the father, and these little teeny tiny chicks.
How many?
Following. It seemed like there was about 10.
Were they just walking around your property?
Yeah. So I went in and got Shannon. And I said, "You've got to come see this."
Now,
You got-
horrible.
can we see the video that you took on your phone?
No, I thought of it.
That's the first thing I do. I grab my phone because it's one thing to tell
Right.
us about it, but
Right.
but you could say, well, here, look, I've got it on
Yeah,
my
I
phone.
can share it with you.
And the real reason I did not take a video was I didn't want to miss it.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
I had never seen that in my life.
And there's also
wonder-
something to be said about living in the moment.
Yeah.
When you're always videotaping something.
Right. They
wonder-
were so cute, though.
I wonder if they'll stay there. Like, do they stay
know
at their
what?
nest? They go out during the day, and do they come back to that nest every night?
That was only a week ago, right?
Uh-huh.
Maybe at the most 2 weeks ago. And and yesterday I went out and they were down at the bottom of the steps.
Okay.
And I went down and I obviously disturbed them, but they all flew. Even
Flew?
even the little ones.
They flew
Really?
already.
Like a quail flies, like where it kind of hovers more so, or actually flew.
Those are hummingbirds.
No. You know, like quails, they go running and then they just kind of fly away.
Yeah,
but
to
not
wherever
real
they
high,
wanna go.
Not real high in the air.
Right.
Or did they actually fly like in the
Well,
air?
they flew like, 6 feet or something.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay,
All right.
okay,
Well,
okay.
your point's well taken.
Yeah.
So they're still hanging around there.
Yeah, they're still hanging around, but I mean, they grow so fast.
That's crazy. That is fast. Well, they got to do that to survive.
You
I
know
feel,
what?
right?
We've still got
There's probably only 6 of them now.
we've had 3 doves. I think we think they're the same ones, the same parents, have babies, have hatched eggs, whatever, 3 times this year.
Yeah.
And they're still hanging around the patio because we fed them.
The doves or the babies?
The doves are hanging around. The babies come and go. And we can tell it's the same family.
Yeah.
But 3 times this year they've laid eggs and they've hatched. And it's
and
like
you feed them? What do you feed them?
Wild bird seed.
It's just like a general wild bird
and
seed.
so they know
do you have
where
a
to
little
go.
feeder?
Nah,
Or what do you put it in, like a dish?
We have like this wooden perch, and we put it kind of inside there or in a bowl, and
so you just kind of like set it out
set it out there. And then, of course, we have a fountain so they can drink and take baths. It's like a spa for them.
They've
Why
got
should
it
they
good.
leave?
Why would they leave?
Why would they leave?
And you don't get squirrels and things going into the food.
No squirrels at all. Well, the wall. Nobody's coming over the wall.
That's nice because that's the biggest, I think, problem for a lot of people with birds is there's one thing to get birds. You want to attract the birds. That's what you're putting the food out there
Right.
for.
Yeah.
But then all the other problems that come along with the birds.
Rats and squirrels.
Yeah.
Just no rats. Just kind of a mess because of the bird seeds everywhere.
But it's for the birds, and so it's fine. And is it just the doves that eat that? Or
No. There's other
birds
birds. Other species of doves. I'm sorry, of birds.
Of birds coming
are
also?
coming and going. But this same dove family there, they hang out.
Yeah.
They'll fly away for a day or so, come back, take a bath, drink, eat the food, but we can tell it's the same family, and you can tell because the babies are not quite as big yet.
Yeah.
So it's pretty obvious. And there was one that was bigger and one that was smaller when they were born.
Better be careful. They're gonna have squatting rights on your home pretty soon.
Probably.
Yeah.
Well, you learned how to take care of them. At first, you were feeding them Dove bars, and they wouldn't even eat them.
No, but I used Dove soap and they got very clean.
Did you?
Any other Dove references out there?
Goodness,
Let's see. We've got a lot of people tuned in already this morning. Carla's with us. Gina
morning.
is with us. Dana's with us. The regulars. Lenore. We've got.
We're going to
who
be
else?
talking about butterflies today, and just by coincidence, for the first time, I think since I've lived at my house, I saw monarch butterflies.
No way.
Yeah,
That's the first time?
Yeah.
I've been there for years.
I know, but I don't have any
Milkweed around?
no milkweed,
Yeah.
but they were on the roses.
Interesting.
And
Didn't
not a
we have
lot,
dip
just
in-
a couple.
A dip in the population for some reason for a while or not?
I think they're still talking about it, as far as like I think across the board they're saying that butterfly populations are dropping, but
I wrote a little fairy tale for the newsletter about butterflies. So
I like the butterflies around the newsletter.
did you? Yeah, I tried to make it butterfly friendly.
yeah.
No, I tried the theme. The theme was for the newsletter this week was mostly butterflies.
There was a movie in the early 70s. Goldie Hawn,
Butterflies
I
are
think.
free.
Butterflies are free.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm not sure it really had anything to do with butterflies. But,
That was right around the. Now that's where
71, 72.
Eddie Albert Jr.'s son.
Was he in the movie?
Or
There was an Eddie Albert Jr.
well, it was his son. Was his name Eddie Albert Jr. or was it something else, Albert? But he played the blind guy, right?
I haven't seen that movie in so long. I'd have to go back. Really, it's been probably since I saw it in the theaters.
Because the other one around the
was
same
10
time
years
was
before I was
Cactus Flower with Goldie Hawn
Cactus Flower.
and Walter Matthau.
That was
another
the one.
That's another butterfly movie, right? Cactus Flower?
I think, yeah, well, it's staying with the theme of the show today. I think Cactus Flower was her first movie after getting all the fame and laughing. I think, and then Butterflies, or whatever. I could be wrong. Who knows? You know what? This is Gina says that you have so much patience for all these references.
Right?
Like we're talking about the movie.
Yeah.
In 71, 72. Tiger goes, that was 10 years before
Yeah.
I was born.
Yeah, Gina says, "Tiger, you have so much patience."
Yeah.
He just smiles and laughs.
Goes
chuckles.
along with it.
I can't cut them off because then they forget what they're talking about.
You know what? That's
Referring to
good.
you and
Hey,
Jeff.
we've got about a minute to the break. We got to get to the quote. Let's set up today's guest. This is going to be very interesting for our listeners and viewers.
Yeah, we're going to be chatting with Victoria Beeler, who's who has an interest in monarch butterflies, but butterflies in general, and she's in Georgia, where she's kind of done her own research and her own work on trying to figure out how to help butterflies.
And she is a very interesting person. We're not going to spill the beans. We'll let you decide for yourself. But she's very passionate about butterflies,
Yep.
and very knowledgeable for the amount of time that she's has been spending on this. This is not something she's been doing all of her life necessarily.
Maybe.
John,
Well, a large part of it. Her life.
Exactly.
yeah, and you'll see when we bring her on. We're going to take a break, John. We'll come back with your quote.
Okay.
After the break. On the other side, as they say in radio, a break for Biz Talk Radio, a bit quicker here on Facebook Live, but we will be getting a hold of our guests, so do stay with us. This is Garden America. Happy weekend to you. Butterflies are the topic today. Brian Main, John Bagnesco, Tiger Palafox. Back after these messages on Biz Talk Radio. Okay, we are back after that break on Biz Talk Radio, Facebook Live. Thank you for being right there today. Do want to remind everybody that this show, this live show now, will be uploaded this afternoon on our YouTube channel, Garden America Radio Show. And, of course, we're always urging you to visit our website, gardenamerica.com. The upcoming trip is on there. We'll talk about that later on in the show. But, again, that's gardenamerica.com. Right now, Tiger, let's let the butterflies loose and bring on our guest, shall we?
Hey, that was a good segue. I love it. Let the butterflies loose. Victoria.
I only want to bring this up. Excuse me for a minute, Victoria, but Brian, you did promise a quote.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, I'm so. You know what? That's my bad. Yes.
Yeah, and
Sorry, John.
Anyway, the quote was from Nathaniel Hawthorne, and he said, "Happiness is a butterfly, which when pursued is always just beyond your grasp, but which, if you'll sit down quietly, may alight upon you."
Oh, yeah, that's so true, right? Like if you go chasing butterflies, they fly away, but if you just chill, they'll land right on you.
They might.
Yeah. And Victoria, our guest, Victoria Beeler from Georgia, has her own special interest in butterflies and birds and hummingbirds, more kind of habitat gardens. But Victoria, you've been doing your own research on monarch butterflies specifically over the past year. Will you please kind of introduce yourself to our listeners, like what you're, where you're at, what your story is, and how you got interested in specifically monarch butterflies?
Sure. So good morning. Thank you all so much for having me on the show. It's such an honor. My name is Victoria Beeler, and I live in Georgia, and I'm a butterfly enthusiast. So I love butterflies and gardening, and my family and I have been volunteering at a local gardens near our home called Smith Gilbert Gardens in Kennesaw. And I've been this summer working there as a volunteer called a butterfly ambassador, which is basically a fancy name for a butterfly docent. And what I do there is, as a volunteer, I help give butterfly tours and the butterfly exhibit there at that gardens, and really help guests and visitors have a great butterfly experience, explaining to them the whole life cycle of the butterfly, all the way from eggs, caterpillars, chrysalis to butterflies, and then talking about the types of plants that are in the butterfly habitat at the Smith Gilbert Gardens. So my family and I have raised and released monarch butterflies in our own home garden for the very first time last fall. And it was so incredible, a great experience. How we got into that was we started learning about butterflies through volunteering at the local gardens, the Smith Gilbert Gardens I was just telling you about. And we learned so much about their life cycles, the types of plants that the caterpillars like and the butterflies like. And then my grandpa, I call him Papa, he enjoys watching YouTube videos like the do-it-yourself kind. And he's very creative, too, and he's so inventive. So he found this YouTube channel called the Mr. Lund Science YouTube channel. And on that channel, Mr. Lund explains how to raise and release monarch butterflies at home. So my papa showed me that YouTube channel, all those videos, and he said, "What do you think?" And I said, "Papa, let's do it. Let's go for it." So my papa, being so creative, he actually built a homemade outdoor butterfly habitat using PVC pipes and mosquito netting.
Wow.
And he built it to where we could walk into it, and it was at that time about 4 feet by 6 feet tall. And so we could literally walk into it and put our milkweed plants into it. And milkweed, by the way, is the host plant for monarch butterflies. And he built it to where we could view it indoors through our window at home, or we could view the whole process outdoors and walk into it and get to see everything up close. So he made it backless to where he mounted it up against the window of my home, and then we could walk into it from outside as well.
Hey,
So
hey,
that
Victoria.
was so cool.
Yeah, that is really cool. Do you get to have butterflies year round where you're at?
So no, we only start seeing them mainly in the early summer through the late fall.
So a lot of the butterfly species that are kind of where you at either migrate or they
Yes.
would kind of go dormant in the wintertime.
Correct. Yes.
Is there things that people need to do for their gardens, in those areas where you do get those cold winters and you see these species of butterflies go away in the wintertime that really help them in the spring? Like, you mean when you talk about a habitat garden, what are some things that you need to include in that garden besides the plants themselves?
Sure. So that's a great question. The best way that we can help butterflies and really anything in nature is to provide a habitat for them. And it can be very simple and practical if we have a backyard or a small place where it doesn't have to be anything fancy. It can just be, in terms of plants, using native plants is really important, because native plants are those that have adapted to in the local area, so they're more familiar with the seasonal rhythms and everything like that. So the best or the top butterfly plants would be probably black-eyed Susans, mountain mint, and coneflowers. And in terms of food sources for the caterpillars, it would be milkweed for monarchs, or nettle for red admiral butterflies, or thistle for painted lady butterflies, or for California state butterfly, which is the California dog-faced butterfly. Their host plant is false indigo. So having those kinds of plants. And in terms of the space, sometimes butterflies like to do what's called puddling. So that is a behavior they have where they will gather in groups of butterflies and get minerals from muddy soil, like maybe from rain puddles. So maybe in our habitat areas, like in our gardens or backyards, whatever it may be, including a place that may catch some rainwater or have like a little sandy area, like with some rocks and pebbles and sand.
Hey, Victoria, I'm going to have to cut you off real quick because we're going to have to take a break. But when we get back, from our break, we'll
Yep.
continue chatting. Just so much great information on
Yep.
how to attract butterflies and hummingbirds and things into your garden. So again, Victoria Beeler, when we get back from the break.
Yeah, Victoria, hold your place right there. We had to interrupt you, so we'll pick up your train of thought when we come back from the break. A little bit longer on Biz Talk Radio, quicker on Facebook Live. We're talking butterflies, monarchs in particular, but let's see where this goes as we continue on your Saturday morning here, your weekend on Garden America. Stay with us. All righty, we are back from that break. Thank you. We hope you had a good break. We did, as we continue on Garden America. And again, that's gardenamerica.com. Visit that website. Visit our website whenever you can. Today we're talking butterflies. We've got Victoria with us, Tiger. I think in that first segment, I learned more about butterflies than I've known all my life.
I know, it's shocking. I talked to Victoria earlier in the week, excuse me, getting preparation for the interview, and I was just amazed by her knowledge and passion for, habitat gardens and butterflies specifically. And, the crazy thing is, Victoria, let our listeners know. So this butterfly habitat and the research you've been doing, how long have you been kind of working with butterflies?
Thank you. So I've only been doing this research on butterflies for about a year now, and so I'm relatively new to this kind of area, but I've always had a passion for butterflies, and so everything that I've learned or have learned up to this point is all self-taught.
Yeah.
Whether it's through like local webinars or groups, like through the Master Gardeners. I'm not a Master Gardener, but I'm so thankful that my local Master Gardeners group in my area offers these free webinars that are open to anyone who's interested. And I've learned so much about gardening through that. And then I've learned about butterflies through reading, like the Stokes Butterfly book, The Complete Guide to Butterfly Gardening Identification and Behavior. I've also learned a lot about gardening and nature through Doug Tallamy's Bringing Nature Home, How You Can Sustain Wildlife with Native Plants book. And I've also learned about not just butterflies from my experience at the Smith Gilbert Gardens, but also I've learned about birds through the free Cornell Lab of Ornithology webinars through what they call Bird Academy. So those are free webinars about birds and how to help them as well. And so these are all great resources, as well as the World Migratory Bird Day in the Americas and the Georgia Audubon. So, again, great resources. No membership or local and state residence is required. But importantly, since the pandemic, connection has been a little more challenging. So the best thing I've really gained knowledge from is simply noticing and appreciating the wonders in my backyard at home. So learning more about the butterflies,
Yeah.
the birds, and the pollinators.
Hey, Victoria, may I ask how old you are?
Sure. So I'm actually 27, and I will be 28 in September. So I may sound young, and I actually do look young, but I enjoy butterflies so much. I went to college for a time and majored in early childhood education, so I do have a background in that. And I give presentations to local organizations and schools, libraries, and just trying to spread the importance of how to help butterflies and all of wildlife and how to improve our ecosystems.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, like, I mean, it seems like you have a further education than most people that went to college on these subjects.
Right.
Well, that just
Thank
shows if
you.
you're really interested in something that you can start at any point in your life.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
you know, I didn't know that about the California dog-faced
Me neither.
butterfly.
Yeah.
And I live in California, and here Victoria's only been studying butterflies for a year and has all this knowledge.
And the just so you know, Victoria, a lot of positive feedback on Facebook. Somebody says they would love to sit at a round table with you. Somebody else says, great job, a lot of information. Most exceptional show today, guys. Thank you. So you're hitting a home run today, Victoria.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you all so much for listening and having me.
Now, Victoria, all of this work that you've been doing led you to also do something that's, you know, really amazing. And in all this research, all this effort, you've created a book on your experiences, specifically with the Monarch, if I understand correctly, right? So tell our listeners a little bit. We do have a few minutes, and I will be cutting you off for another break.
We got a while. We're
but
good.
tell us a little bit about the book you created.
Sure, thank you. So I've actually written a Monarch book about the incredible experience of raising and releasing monarchs in our home garden. And I've written it about the whole life stages of the monarch butterflies, from eggs to caterpillars to chrysalis and to emerging butterflies. And I've included pictures in my book of all of their life stages, and I took all the photos myself. Nothing fancy, just on my iPhone. And then I noted all my personal observations of what I noticed, what was happening at each life stage in the home garden here. And then I also supported it with scientific research and how to help the butterflies. And so then in the back of my book, I include resources for adults and then resources for children, for youth, and so that everyone can help the butterflies. And I also include in the very back of my book pictures of the birds and all of the nests in the garden at home and the eggs and the baby birds. I also include other insects and other animals like lizards and groundhogs. So I try to tie together all of wildlife because everything is interconnected.
Yeah.
And it's 104 pages long, and I've even translated parts of it in Spanish. And if anyone is interested, I would be happy to mail it to you. Just email me at vbeeler2, like the number 2, at outlook.com. That's all lowercase, and that's vbeeler, Beeler, 2, at outlook.com. And again, I would be happy to get that to you through the mail.
Yeah, I'm gonna be trying to work hard right now. I'm gonna be posting that email address to the Facebook chat for our listeners that maybe didn't catch it. I'll have it on the chat, so you can just click on it to send her an email. And you know, that's so wonderful that you're willing to share your research and your experience with other people, because I just feel, you know, in Victoria, in your situation, as we just kind of talked about, like this, you know, she's still relatively new.
Right.
She has a passion. She's done her work on research. It's always neat to read about someone's experience through their eyes, especially when it's someone that it's almost new to this, you know, in the sense of, you know, a firsthand experience. Like, it's one thing to read a book from an ornithologist that's been studying this for 25 years and they put their twist. But I mean, you know, it seems like, and I read parts of your book, and it just seems, you know, the excitement of just the small things that you noted. I mean, you know, Victoria gets into, you know, the I forget what you call it, but you know, the stages of the caterpillar. And you know, normally people talk about the chrysalis. Normally people talk about the butterfly emerging.
Yep.
But Victoria goes into a whole portion of the caterpillar's life cycle. You know,
Right.
which is people just think it's just a fat lazy caterpillar just
Right.
eating its way into getting to be a butterfly.
Right.
But there's a whole life process in the
Yes.
experience of that caterpillar. From it's got to eat, it's got to survive, it's got to do this.
Right.
There's a lot of good information. So I'm gonna try to share your email right now on the Facebook chat.
Put the link on the
Wonderful.
Facebook.
Thank you so much. And it's so incredible because when we have a passion for something, it doesn't matter who we are or at what point in life we are. We can, once we set our heart and mind to something, anything is possible. And I just fully believe that, just like the butterfly transforms and metamorphoses from an egg all the way to a butterfly, we also transform. So through raising and releasing monarchs in the home garden at my home, I felt like I too really transformed with the monarchs, and it was so inspiring to me just seeing all of their life stages up close, and it reminded me that anything is possible in life and that we're all on a journey and that we can still make a positive difference.
Yeah, we got about a minute, John. Go
Yeah, I
ahead.
was just going to mention quickly that Lila in Poway, California, wants to know the name of your book.
Thank you so much. So the name of my book is called Journey with Monarchs, a personal experience of raising and releasing monarchs in the home garden by Victoria Zoni Beeler.
Okay, hold that thought, Victoria. We've got to take a break. We're going to come back. Getting a lot of positive feedback on our Facebook page. Actually, somebody wants to know if you have a Facebook page. Somebody else says your book should be in every classroom. Kids would love it. On that note, we are going to take a break for our friends on Biz Talk Radio. Do stay with us. Yes, I'm getting choked up, John. By the way, those on Facebook Live, any questions for Victoria, post them right there. As we take a break, coming right back after these messages, as I mentioned on Biz Talk Radio. Okay, we are back from that break. Thank you for sticking around, for being right there with us each and every week. Those come and go. Those stay with us a bit longer. Some are with us from the very beginning to the very end of the show. We do appreciate that, Tiger, as we continue with Butterflies and Victoria.
Yeah, we were just telling all of our listeners and viewers how to get a hold of Victoria's book. I did post her email right there on the Facebook chat. If you'd like to send her an email, and she'll share it with you.
People wanted to know the cost of the book.
Victoria, do you have a fee for your book?
Yes, thank you. So my book is $15, and that includes shipping. So if you're interested, I would be happy to mail it to you. Just email me at that email, and I will definitely get that to you.
All right. And then also, Victoria, I mean, you're in the middle of summer now. You're there in Georgia. Are you working on another project right now? Is the continuation of this Monarch project happening? Have you moved on to something else?
Yes. Thank you for asking. So this year, my papa, actually at the close of last year, my papa started building the new butterfly house for our garden habitat for this year. So he's almost like an architect. He is so amazing. He created he designed a brand new outdoor butterfly house, and he sketched it all out and everything and did all the measurements. And so then we practiced putting it together last fall. I think it was before Thanksgiving time, and we were so excited. And so we got it put together. And then we stored it in our barn on our property. And so then a few weeks ago, as in July, we put up the new butterfly house my papa built, and I was so excited. And so basically the new butterfly house in our garden is 6 feet tall and 6 feet wide. So it's 2 times bigger than last year's, and it's where we can walk into it and have plenty of room in there for our milkweed plants, plenty of room for the monarchs to, when they become butterflies, to dry their wings and kind of fly around and get stronger before we release them in our yard. And my papa even put a plastic roof on the top and he slanted the poles, the beams, to where rainwater would just drip right off. So he literally thought of everything, and I'm so excited. We haven't seen any butterflies, any monarchs yet, but I am so hopeful. We have our butterfly habitat out there just in case, and we are ready. So in the meantime, while we're waiting for the monarchs to come, we have our swamp milkweed plants in our garden, and swamp milkweed is a type of milkweed, and any type of milkweed is a great host plant for monarch butterflies. In fact, milkweed is the only exclusive host plant for monarch butterflies. That means that they lay eggs on milkweed, and then the eggs hatch into caterpillars, and the caterpillars eat on the milkweed leaves, and that is necessary for their survival to transform ultimately into an adult monarch butterfly. So swamp milkweed grows really great in USDA plant hardiness zones 3 to 9, and it's native to the United States, and it's a great perennial plant. It's very hardy. So my family and we planted our swamp milkweed plants in big 15-gallon size nursery containers so that it allows the roots to really thrive and not become root bound. And then once we noticed the monarch female butterfly laying eggs on the milkweed leaves, then we move the milkweed plants into our outdoor butterfly habitat using a dolly cart, and that makes it easier to transport the plants into our butterfly house. Then that way the eggs hatch in a safe, protected place from predators like ants, wasps, spiders, lizards, and birds. And then the eggs turn into caterpillars, and the caterpillars grow, and then they turn into chrysalis and then to butterflies. And once they become adult monarch butterflies, then we let them kind of fly around and get stronger anywhere from 4 to 24 hours after they've emerged. And then we release them in the garden at home. And what's really special is that not all monarchs migrate. It's mainly the third and fourth generations. And the fourth generation monarchs are called the super migration generation or the Methuselah generation because they can live up to 8 to 9 months.
Wow.
So what was special about the monarchs that we raised in our garden last year were they were the fourth generation. They were born late summer, early fall, and they completed their whole transformation process in late September. That means that they are the ones that will migrate to Mexico.
Oh, wow.
And
Hey, Victoria.
Yes.
We're going to have to wrap up in just a little bit. We have a little bit of time left in our interview, and so much good information. It's so neat that you kind of have this project going on, and a lot of that information is in your book. Do you have a social media that people can follow as well? I think somebody had asked that.
Yeah.
I don't know if we answered that question.
Thank you for asking. Unfortunately, no, I don't have any social media at this time, but that's a great question. Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay,
no
but
problem.
people can get a hold of you on the email, which we have posted on our comment section here on Facebook.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. Wonderful.
Yeah, lots of good information. What a great story. And hey, make sure at the end of this season you email me again and keep me in the loop on the progress on your new butterfly habitat. And I'd love to see some photos of what the butterflies are doing there and of the habitat that you've created. So thank you very much. And have a great rest of the weekend, Victoria. We got to get going here, but lots of good information.
Thank you.
Victoria, thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you all so much.
Yeah, and have a
You
great
bet.
summer.
Okay. Yeah, you know what? I feel like I just took a college course,
Right?
and I'm retaining it.
Yeah.
John, you saw one monarch butterfly on your property with no milkweed.
Do you know which butterfly it was, John? Do you know was it a Methuselah one or not?
Oh, I don't
Come
know.
on, man.
I don't know. I don't know if it was part of the super migration generation.
Yeah, you got to figure these things out.
That was interesting. I didn't know that it's the fourth generation that migrates.
Me neither. I thought it was just varietal, like meaning
Yeah.
like the East Coast ones had to move. The
I-
West Coast ones
I've got
stick
a
around.
feeling that we could have had her on for an hour, and there's a lot more information that because of time constraints that she couldn't
Yeah.
share. Okay,
Well, isn't creation amazing that
Oh.
after 4 generations they know now
have
it's
to
time
go.
to go to Mexico?
Yeah, we have to go.
the time. Adios. Okay, we're going to take a break. We've got news coming up on Biz Talk Radio. We're coming back with hour number 2 at 6 minutes after. Stay with us. This is Garden America. Welcome back to the show. If you're tuned in on Biz Talk Radio, this is hour number 2. As we continue, first hour, we talked to Victoria about monarch butterflies. And again, if you missed it, no problem. Go to our YouTube channel, John, Garden America Radio Show. You can watch this show. All shows archived, pre-recorded, ready to go.
Also on Facebook. Right?
Also on Facebook, too,
Yeah.
if you want to come back. Our show on YouTube has been edited out in terms of all you see is the actual show itself.
Oh.
You don't see us before the show getting ready. There's not a lot of dead air. The show starts immediately on
No
our YouTube
commercials,
channel. No
right?
commercials, nothing, none of that.
Wow.
And a big thank you to our friends on Biz Talk Radio as well. Every week you listen to last week's pre-recorded show. We do appreciate you. And our sponsors, Fertilome, Mosquito Dunks, and Root Warrior, John.
Right. Because if you're listening on YouTube, you didn't hear about them.
You didn't hear about them. You did not. So, Tiger, you probably saw, some of you on Facebook Live saw
He
Tiger
went out
leave.
to build a butterfly house.
He's so excited.
He couldn't wait.
Right.
He said, I've got to leave.
So Tiger's back next week. John and I now for the rest of the time. And again, good comments.
Kim in
yeah.
Tucson says that she missed the recommended plants other than the milkweed. The first plants that Victoria was talking about were plants that for the butterflies to feed on, not the larvae.
Right.
Milkweed is for the larvae, right? The caterpillars.
That's the host, right? The milkweed?
Right.
Right, okay.
And an interesting thing. We don't have Victoria anymore, but milkweed's poisonous.
Well, yeah.
And the larvae of the monarchs have adapted to not only where that they can eat it and survive where other insects can't, but it also makes them somewhat poisonous to predators.
Well, I was going to say, they've created a safe haven from predators because
Right.
the milkweed is poisonous to all others except what you're referring to.
Right, but then also anything that would eat the caterpillar is not going to want to eat it because of that. So anyway, that's good to know. But anyway, the plants for the butterfly, she had mentioned cone flowers, which are echinacea, and some of the, I can't remember the others, but the point I guess to make is that you need the two types. You need the milkweed for the caterpillars to grow up on, and then the plants for the pollinators. Now I had I don't have milkweed in my yard, but I said this week I did see monarch butterflies, and they were on the roses, which I thought was interesting.
I've never heard the correlation between monarch butterflies and roses. What do you think is the attraction?
Well, I'm sure they get the same pollen that they get from other flowers. I don't know that they would be super attractors, but if they're in the area looking for things, and I mentioned, we've mentioned the last couple of weeks about how cabbage moths
Yes.
just flit around and they don't have any idea where they're going. The monarch butterflies, on the other hand, I was watching and they knew what they were doing. They had a purpose. They weren't flopping around everywhere in the wind.
So John and I, for the next, half hour or so before we wrap things up.
Lila was nice enough to, by the way,
go ahead.
to point out false indigo.
False indigo?
Right.
So if you have any questions, let us know right there on our Facebook page. John, your house continues to, thrive. The metamorphosis continues.
It's hot. It's still hot. We've had breaks
really
in the
hot.
weather, but then it gets hot again, and you just got to keep up with the water.
What are you?
It's so hot that I don't want to get out the jackhammer and
What are you
plant
involved
things.
with now? What is the next? I know, did Tiger came over and gave you a tutorial on the sprinkler system?
No.
Oh,
He
not
came
yet?
over because I wanted him to give me a bid on doing the back part of my house. And then when I get this project done, which I think will probably finish in November, then all the area around the house will be landscaped and
By the end of the year,
by the end of the year.
realistically.
Yeah.
Are we going to have the party before that?
The party?
The party. People are wanting to know, and this is impossible, before we go to Costa Rica, having that kind of that pre-party get-together at your house. But I said that's probably not a realistic idea because people are going to be coming from all over the country, maybe
That's
all over
true.
the world for this trip.
Do you remember those pre-parties? Did you go to any of those?
Yeah, they were fun. People
Yeah.
get to know each other.
We had them at restaurants, though, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So we are going to Costa Rica, John. Is it official? I think it is with Colette Travel.
Well, it is, and you can sign up. And I can't remember the deadline, but I think if you sign up,
By October, it's $100 off.
you get $100 off, which is nice.
All the information's on our
Anybody
website.
can use $100, right?
Absolutely.
We got two of you going. That's $200.
$200. GardenAmerica.com, the trip itinerary, everything you'd want to know, and then
I
some.
think this is the first tropical tour that we've taken. Everything else has been in cooler climates.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, so this will be the first tropical. I'm kind of excited.
Costa
see that.
Rica, 2024,
Yeah.
April 20th through the 29th, something like that. I don't have the information in front of me. I think that's close enough.
I think it's the 20th through the 29th.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there you go. And again, the information's on our website, GardenAmerica.com.
Yeah, I think they've limited the amount of people that can go. So don't, we've had several people sign up already that said the reason
Right.
they signed up was because our last tour to Italy, they waited too late and we were sold out.
Yeah. So how many people? Enough to fill a bus, right?
Yeah. That's the problem. The buses only hold so many people.
Like 38 people, something like that?
It's like between 32 and 40 is all we can take unless we get another bus. And then what we could do is maybe have you take care of that group of people, and Tiger and I'll.
I'd be happy to. Hey, Steve says, good morning from the Waterfront Bar, Bloody Mary in hand, a visitor from KC enjoying your show. Hey, Steve, thank you. I hope if this is the first time you've either watched or listened to us, you'll become a regular. Thank you, Steve.
I don't know about Steve's commitment if he's having Bloody Marys at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, trust me, he's committed. Steve is committed. When you're having Bloody Marys at 8:54 in the morning Pacific time, and you've got Garden America on, you're committed.
Oh, okay. Where is the Waterfront Bar?
I think in the gas lamp,
Is it?
I believe. Could be wrong. Haven't been down there in a while. Steve, you can let us know.
Sue says that she already has her reservations.
Yeah. Sue is going to Costa Rica with us.
Yeah.
Sue, thank you.
It'll be exciting.
You need to go with us as well. See, for those on Biz Talk Radio, I'm pointing to the camera.
But they don't know who you were pointing to.
Exactly. Hey, and by the way, if you are listening on Biz Talk Radio, you don't actually watch the show on Facebook Live, you're invited as well. Anybody within the sound of our voice is welcome to go.
Oh, we have
Anybody.
Hastam in Pakistan.
Yeah. In fact, he says good morning. He's tuned in.
Yeah.
Yeah, downtown by Little Italy, Daniel says, the waterfront. Thank you,
I
Daniel.
like that area over there.
Yeah. See, our webmaster Daniel's always tuned in just in case something goes awry.
Yeah.
Thank you, Daniel, for that. Downtown by Little Italy. Harry and I are signed up as well.
Oh,
Lila?
that's Lila, yeah, from Poway.
Okay.
Well, we might be sold out by now.
I hope so. This is going to be a great, Costa Rica, it does evoke,
Well, you
thoughts
know
and
who's got-
dreams of the tropics.
You know who's got me excited about Costa Rica is Tiger, because this will be his third trip. And when we were trying to decide somewhere to go,
hesitate.
no, he just said Costa Rica. I'm in,
Dana's been
let's
there
go.
as well.
Did she like it?
Oh, she loved it. This will be her second time.
Really?
I don't think anybody's ever come back and said, yeah, it was all right. You got the beach, you've got the jungle, you've got coffee plantations, you've got
Now, where
volcanoes.
did Dana go? Did she go all over, or is this tour going to be hitting some spots that
We'll
she
be hitting
has
spots
not
that she didn't visit.
that she didn't visit?
So,
That'll be nice.
It'll be nice. So we land in San Jose, and we leave from Liberia. I believe one is south, one is north.
Right. And it's Liberia and Costa Rica,
In Costa Rica,
not in
yeah,
Africa.
Not Africa.
All right. Well, besides the doves on your patio, how are your other plants doing? Like, are your roses taking a rest now, or are they still going?
No, they're taking a rest, and
Yeah.
which concerned me at first. And I thought it's hot. They're resting. We should get one more flush of bloom before the end of the year.
Oh, easily.
Because
Easily. You might even get two.
to answer your question, yeah, nothing's really happening
Yeah.
except Pope John Paul. He continues to bloom.
Well, I have two plants blooming that every time I look at them, I think of you, because I had lost both Green Planet and
Oh, boy.
Nimbus. And we got budwood from you last year, and right now both those plants are loaded with blooms.
We got to take a break.
All right, I'm just going to wait here.
You just wait right here. Break for Biz Talk Radio. Those on Facebook Live, any questions, comments here besides Costa Rica or even Costa Rica? Want to find out more? Post your question, your comment right there on our Facebook page. This is Garden America. We are back from the break. Thank you for tuning in. Those on Biz Talk Radio, of course, those of you on Facebook Live watching and listening to us. Tiger is gone for the day. He's back next week. It's John and I holding down the proverbial studio fort and broadcasting from the iHeart Media and Entertainment Studios right here in San Diego, California. John?
You know, when Tiger was over yesterday, I showed him the plumeria, and he was surprised that, you know, I have some that are just starting to leaf out, but others that had frozen and over half the plants were dead.
I have one that's leafing out,
Mm-hmm.
but one that I sent you a picture last week. Is it a macro or micro shot? Macro?
Macro.
Okay, macro. I sent you a text with the plumeria just beginning to bloom.
I didn't know what that was.
Well, see, that's interesting because we used to do that in the newsletter.
Yeah.
We would have macro shots of very small plants are just beginning to bloom, and people would have to
What did
identify
we call
them.
that feature?
I forget. But it's interesting that you didn't know what it was because I thought you would know what it is. But
No, you know what I thought it
that's
was?
very cool.
I meant to ask you because I thought it was a bromeliad.
no, it's a very beginning of a plumeria.
Yeah.
So
Do you know
to-
which plumeria that was?
What's that?
Was it one Tiger gave
Yes,
you?
that's exactly the one Tiger gave us.
You started it from cuttings.
Yep. What's
Look at
interesting is the other one is doing well, and this one is taking such a long time to bloom. But you're experiencing the same thing. So, are you looking for the picture?
No, I was looking at his Stom is asking me
Okay.
about cycad blue, which often disturbs or bothers their cycads. I have no idea what cycad blue is. I've never heard that term.
So let us know if somebody knows what that is.
Yeah, might be have something to do with the translation, Stom.
Could be.
But I've got all kinds. I already collected cycads for a while, and I think the best collection of cycads in the United States is at Fairchild Gardens in Florida. They've got an amazing collection. When we went to Cuba, I think I mentioned this before, but we saw there's a cycad that's native to Cuba, a type of cycas, and there were 2 in the United States, and lightning struck 1. And cycads are male and female. So when that happened,
Like literally?
literally struck?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Lightning literally struck one.
and killed it.
Wow.
So I don't know if it was the male or the female, but because of that, we haven't had any of these cycads anywhere. And it was native to Cuba, and we haven't been on friendly terms with Cuba since the 50s.
Or since you left. Things got a little bit better when you were there.
Yeah, recently things have improved.
Right.
But anyway, it was nice to go there and see those cycas. Cuba's got another tropical country, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So you can, I was just amazed at the plants that I saw in Cuba. So that's why I'm so excited about going to Costa Rica. See the same types of things.
Sue's been there before. She says our second time, love Costa Rica. So don't wait. Filling up fast. It's going to be a great time. A lot of fun.
Yeah.
Jungle, monkeys, beaches, zip lining, volcanoes, coffee plantation. Now, is there there was another, something else on the agenda. Orchids?
There's an orchid farm.
Orchid farm, okay.
An orchid farm, and I imagine there was, Tiger was telling me there's a garden where we would probably see gingers and heliconias. We can grow some gingers here in San Diego, but almost no heliconias. And heliconias are, if you're not familiar with heliconias, do Google images on heliconias. And it's Heliconia, heliconia, and just some amazing blooms. The lobster claw is one that's always fascinated me. Do you know the one I'm talking about?
I think so. I think
It kind of hangs. The
showed me a
flower
picture.
hangs down,
like a
and-
claw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, a bunch of little lobster claws together, but a lot of strange heliconias. And then the hill that I planted recently that Tiger weeded and landscaped for me, he had his crew come out and do. I've been putting some drought tolerant and plants that like in the Protea family, plants that really like good drainage. And it's kind of a sandy soil, but on a hillside. So it drains immediately, even though it gets watered every day. And the plants there are going gangbusters. I was trying to think of working that word into the conversation today.
Which word was that?
Gangbusters.
Gangbusters.
So anyway, they're all doing great. And what was I telling you? The group of plants that I really like is the hakeas. I've got several hakeas there that are doing really well.
Couple of comments, John.
Oh, Gina says that Hastam might be talking about the blue moth that attacks cycads.
Could that be?
Could very well be, but I'm, to be honest, I don't know a lot about that.
And then Lila's comment, 2 roses from the auction in pots on my patio that I think I lost because of the heat. They weren't under the patio cover. Wish I had the root produst.
The root product.
Root product, yeah.
Root warrior.
Right. Root warrior.
Yeah.
Well, still time to get root warrior.
Yeah. I've got to try that. I want to experiment with it because I've had the same problem with roses in the heat when they're in containers. They have to be watered a lot.
Yes.
But the problem is that watering them that much drives the oxygen out of the soil and the roots rot. So
yeah, and
it's
eventually
like catch-22. If you don't water it, it dies because it doesn't have enough water.
and the soil level eventually goes down because as it drains over time, you're losing some of that precious soil.
Yes, that's a good excuse.
As we're so familiar with.
But so if you water it, it's going to die. If you don't water it, it's going to die. So what do you do?
And then Jose, you want to read Jose's comment there? Right below Veronica?
There's a few heliconia varieties that do well here. I have a couple that are growing in part shade in a moist area. Yeah, I said very few would do well here. And Jose might be able to correct me, but the ones that will grow here are not as spectacular flowering as the more tropical varieties.
Veronica's asking about where she can buy Root Warrior, and I know that Tiger last couple of weeks did.
Yeah, I think if you go to Garden America, there's a link to their website, and you can buy it direct off the website.
Veronica, go to gardenamerica.com there. We have some of our sponsors up there, people who support this show. I do believe there's a link.
Right.
So but the website's not Root Warrior. It's something else. Plant.
Oh.
Is it? Do you recall, John, what it is?
Yeah, it's plant something.
Plant something. But anyway, Veronica and anybody else interested in Root Warrior, go to our website.
This is the problem with Tiger not being here because
he handles all that.
Well, I was going to say, no, we got two old guys that can't remember.
Yeah, but I only remember what I need to know. See, that's the beauty.
Yeah, you're like
I
Einstein that you never memorize anything you can easily look up.
That's exactly right. That's a great quote.
Yeah.
Gosh, we are running just a bit late here on this segment. We have two more segments coming up. We're going to take a break for our friends on Biz Talk Radio. For the rest of you on the Facebook Live, keep those questions, comments coming. This is Garden America. Happy weekend to you. Brian Main, John Bagnasco. We are back. We have two more segments as we continue on your weekend. Thank you for joining us. Tiger is off for the rest of the show, but of course back next week. It's John and myself. John Bagnasco, Brian Main, thank you for the questions, your comments. Jose says, John's right, not spectacular, but does add to the tropical landscape.
Yeah, it does. And
Flowers
it's nice.
are decent.
Yeah, and it's nice that you have something like that. I mean, if you're a plant person, I've had those at my other house, and it's just nice to be able to say you can grow heliconia. Carlos says that, or is asking if you can add hydrogen peroxide to the water so the roots don't rot. And yes, you can, and that might be a good solution for Lila with her 2 roses, but not me with 1,500.
I was just on my phone looking up Root Warrior.
Right.
So, Veronica, if you go to our website, that's good. We want everyone to do that every now and then. But if you go to Google and just type in Root Warrior, you'll be able to buy from them direct.
And so what is the website that comes
let's see
up?
here. It is plantwarrior.com.
Okay, that's the deal.
Plantwarrior.com.
Right.
For Root Warrior.
And Lenore says she's never heard of it. And I guess we should explain that it's like a perforated plastic cone.
Oh, she wasn't tuned into the show that day.
Well, I wasn't either.
That's right. It was just Tiger and myself.
Yeah.
So go ahead and explain the cone situation, because the whole point of this is to get air throughout the root system.
Yeah, and if you
right?
go to
Oxygen,
their website, they have a great explanation of how it works. But yeah, the center of every pot becomes compacted and doesn't allow oxygen into it, and because of that, you get root rotting bacteria. And so by putting this cone in the center, it keeps air in the center so that you can have aerobic bacteria thrive throughout the whole pot.
And Joyce was nice enough to put the link on our comments page.
Oh.
So plantwarrior.com, those on Facebook, just click it, and there you go, Root Warrior. And I'm sure that they would be very pleased with all the reaction
if you look
they're
on
getting.
Facebook, there's a picture of the Root Warrior right there.
See?
Do you see that? Upper right-hand corner?
Yes.
Carl, I had to point that out.
That's okay. Well, you know what? We're going back and forth. I've got 2 or 3 monitors I'm looking at. You're looking at your phone. So we do rely on our Facebook audience that are watching the show to help us out every now and then. Thank you. Speaking of monitors, I've got to do something over here, John. So if you just fill time for about 10, 15 seconds.
I was just thinking the other day that this is August already, right? And we're only a couple weeks away from the autumnal equinox.
That's the first thing that came to my mind.
Yeah. And so, I mean, we're going into fall.
People are talking about back to school already.
Yeah, and this dog days of summer.
Talking about Halloween
already. The next thing
already.
you know, it's going to be Christmas. It'll be cold.
Well, I hope you've got your Valentine's Day
I should have
shopping
brought a
done.
jacket today.
Yeah, it's amazing how every year they push upcoming holidays faster and faster. Like, okay, back to school, August, that makes sense. But during July, I'm seeing Halloween items in stores. Really? Already? You're going to see Christmas trees in 2 weeks, John.
Lila wants to know how much hydrogen peroxide you add to the water. And if you go to the hydrogen peroxide website, it'll explain all that to you. And I can't remember offhand. And if Tiger was here, I would take the chance of looking it up. But it is on the hydrogen peroxide website. So all you have to do is Google that, Lila, and it tells you how to use it on your plants, which is something that a lot of people don't think of. Veronica's planting her fig cuttings, so if she uses some hydrogen peroxide in the water, what's the ratio?
Yeah, I think
I just finished.
But you know what,
Same
though?
thing, yeah.
It's pretty safe. I mean, sure, you can overuse any product.
Yeah.
But I think with hydrogen peroxide, you're fairly safe, even if you give it a little more than you should.
It's not going to hurt, but still, it's nice to know what they recommend for the dilution rate.
I use it in our fountain to help ward off algae.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
That was a tip from one of our viewers about a year ago. And it works. And it's safe when the birds come to take a drink. Doesn't hurt anything. Because they're there. They're bathing and drinking all the time.
Can't you brush your teeth with hydrogen peroxide?
Yeah, you could. It's kind of a wonder product. You can do so much with it.
Do you know what the chemical formula for hydrogen peroxide is?
You mean the scientific, like for water is H2O?
Right.
No, I don't.
H2O2.
I did know that.
Yeah.
H2O2.
Yeah.
Didn't you flunk that class?
I did not do. I was majoring in chemistry in college my first year.
Is that because you didn't know what else to major in?
Yeah, for some reason in high school I thought I was going to become a chemist, a research chemist.
And then you started taking classes.
Well, then I grew up and
you realized, right?
Yeah, it's like there's no way that's going to happen.
You know what's funny? When I went to school for a short period of time at the University of Wisconsin to play hockey.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were an undeclared major and you played sports, then they said, well, you're going to be a phys ed major until you decide otherwise.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's easy. Guess what my first class was?
Chemistry.
Kinesiology.
Oh, kinesiology. Wow.
And I'm sitting there going, what have I gotten myself into? Now, other classes were more fun. We took a class on elementary school physical education, bouncing balls and skipping and doing things you teach kids. But kinesiology, wow.
When I was going to Michigan State, my first major was accounting before I switched over to horticultural marketing. But they had a plant propagation course that if you were majoring in horticulture, you could not take this course because it wasn't a scientific enough course, I guess. It was just plant propagation. It was during the houseplant craze, and I wanted to learn it. But so I wasn't majoring in horticulture so I could take it. But I went to sign up for the course, and they said, oh, you're majoring in business. It really doesn't apply to you. And I said, well, wait a second. If I'm majoring in horticulture, I can't take it. And if I'm not majoring in horticulture, I can't take it. And they were perplexed. So they said, all right, you can sign up.
Well, if you're majoring in business, most everything in and around things outside the so-called business arena would still make sense. Because if you're going to go into business at a nursery, right?
Right.
You'd still want to know that information. Business encompasses a lot under the umbrella of other things that you would end up dealing with anyway.
Well, I hated, I think we've talked about this before, but I really disliked accounting. And so I would take other courses to raise my grade point average because I would always get a C in accounting. But I could take Greek and I would get an A or a 4-point in Greek, and that would help raise it. Or I got a 4-point in plant propagation, and that raised my average.
I can understand Latin. Why Greek?
Well, I already had Latin in college. I had 2 years, or in high school, I had 2 years of Latin. So I just thought, well.
So you're supposed to be able to speak Greek?
To take Greek. Greek has a different alphabet, right?
Oh, of course. Yeah. Yes.
So, I don't know if you've ever studied Greek, like from the alpha to the omega.
Well, that I know. That's biblical.
Yeah. It's A to Z. But you would think that with the Greek letters that you wouldn't be able to look at them and read them or see words. And when you're taking Greek, you can. I guess it would be like Arabic or the kanji and Chinese and Japanese. That they just look like symbols until you're actually studying the language. Then it comes to you. I don't remember them anymore, but back then I could.
So Paul from the Bible has a famous speech to the Greeks in Athens, I believe. So here comes I forget. I'm going to ask you a question because I forget the answer. He must have been well-versed in Greek.
Yeah.
So I'm asking you.
Oh, did he give it in Greek?
Yeah, that's
I don't know.
Any other biblical scholars out there?
Did he give it in Hebrew?
Well,
did he give it in Latin?
Exactly. Those are the languages going around at the time, or the most popular languages.
I don't know. Part of the New Testament was written in Greek.
Hey, Lenore said, Latin was dreadful. Me too, had Latin. Dreadful. See, by the time I got into school, I know Latin used to be basic. Everyone took Latin at some point in time in school, but that was not even offered.
I thought Latin was very helpful because a lot of English, the root words in Latin.
Right.
And then when I got to horticulture and was studying taxonomy, the names were either Latin or Greek, mostly Latin, but also Greek.
Well, Latin was a derivative of so many languages, right? That's why they taught it at one time, because supposedly you would eventually use it, or it would help you with other languages, or not?
Do you know that no one in Latin America speaks Latin?
We're going to Latin America, aren't we?
We are.
I know Latin, e pluribus unum.
E pluribus unum, which means?
Is it? I hate it when I'm on the spot. I'm doing live, live Facebook or pre-recorded on Biz Talk Radio, and I can't think quick enough.
Yeah, it means one from many.
Actually, it doesn't.
It's the country, diversity, that we form one people from many cultures.
One from many.
Yeah. Lenore said she had bad teachers. That's why.
Oh, yeah. You know what? You look back now, the teachers that made a difference in your life as opposed to the bad ones.
Yeah.
And when you're young, you just think, well, they're a teacher. They must be qualified. Some teachers just have a knack of getting through to students.
Yeah.
A lot
and I
better
really
than
liked
others.
my Latin teacher. I think I told you the story about there was I was a senior my second year in Latin, and there was a sophomore girl in the class who I really, really liked. But, she's kind of in her own group. She's a freshman or sophomore, whatever she was.
Didn't run around the same circle as you did.
No. And I think she had a boyfriend who was on the football team or something. Anyway, but she was a really nice girl, and she was fun, and I enjoyed being in the class with her. The last day of the class, after I'm graduating that year, it's my last day of school, she stands up and she goes, "I just want to tell everyone in the room, now that school's over, I've had a crush on John all year."
To the whole class?
Yeah.
Wow.
And my first thought was, now you tell me.
Of course. Now you take. Hey, we got to take a break, but I want to thank Philip, because Philip says Greek was the universal language at the time of Paul.
Ah.
So I was kind of thinking along those lines, but I wasn't sure. So I'm glad that, Philip, that you cleared that up. Thank you for that. One more segment, John.
All right.
We're going to take a break. Back after these messages on Biz Talk Radio. We are back from the break. Hey, those on Facebook Live, the interaction, we really appreciate it. Those on Biz Talk Radio, if you want to join us live and get in on the so-called action, you can go to our Facebook page every week, Garden America Radio Show. The show starts at about 8 o'clock, 8:06 on the West Coast, 11 o'clock, 11:06 Eastern Time Zone. And for the Mountain and Central Time Zones, John, we always say you can figure that out.
I told you I'm
On your
taking
own.
a vacation in September, right?
You are?
Yeah.
Where you
Did
going?
you know that?
No?
Oh, well, I'm glad I'm telling you.
Yeah. When are you
Before I
leaving?
forget.
Where are you going?
We're going, let's see, September 9th through the 16th. So will I be missing one of the shows?
I don't know. Something will happen.
I think so. You and Tiger will be here.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. We're going to, we're flying into Bozeman.
Montana.
Yeah. That's not far from Wyoming, right?
It's north. It's the state north of Wyoming, I believe.
Well, I know the state is, but is it, what part of the state is it in? Is
Bozeman?
Yeah.
I think it's southwest. I could be wrong. You know what? I
don't
can
think
see
I've
the
ever
states in
been
my
to
mind.
Bozeman. Yeah.
So what's happening up there? You're going to be close to Gina.
Well, she's going to drive from Boise to Yellowstone. Yellowstone.
Oh, you guys are going to Yellowstone?
We're going to
that-
Yellowstone.
You know, you did mention that.
Yeah, and then we're going to the Grand Tetons.
Right. Which are very grand, by the way.
Are they?
Yeah, they're Tetons, but they're spectacular.
Yeah, the grand ones. We're not going to see just the ordinary
Right, you're going to see the
Tetons.
grand. But you know what? You did mention this. Now,
Okay.
because I'm remembering you mentioning Yellowstone.
Yeah,
And in regard to where my son Eric lives in Wyoming.
right.
That's going to be a good time. That'll be fun.
I think so. I'm hoping the colors will have changed by then. Do you think
September?
Mid-September? Yeah. No?
It's iffy, right? October, we can almost guarantee
October
it.
for sure, yeah. I don't know. Anyway, it'll be nice. It's one of my wife's favorite areas of the country, and it's kind of a celebration for our 50th wedding anniversary.
50 years. And they said
Yeah.
it wouldn't last.
So the kids are all going to be there, and my sister and brother-in-law are
Kind of a
going to
little
join us.
family reunion.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
A lot of fun. And you get to Yellowstone. So you know what? Just leave the animals alone.
You know, I just saw last
These
week
people get up
that
to these bison.
Someone wanted to ride one. And there
Oh
was
my
a bison laying
gosh.
in the grass and got up on its back. And
I mean, they'll kill you.
yeah,
Just those and bears. You know what? If I really don't have any inkling to hang out where bears hang out.
now the cubs are okay. Those cute little bear cubs, if you want to hold one of those, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, the mama bear's right there. Sure. We encourage that as well. Bozeman is just outside of Yellowstone, Carla says. I think Carla's right.
The I had a couple people email me about the name of the book that I talked last week, which was Beneath the Scarlet Sky.
Right.
I wasn't quite sure about the name back then, but anyway, it's by Mark Sullivan, and it is about the end of World War II and the Nazi occupation of Italy, and centers around these two brothers. But the second book that I read, just finished last week, by Mark Sullivan, is called The Last Green Valley, and it's the perspective of a family moving from the Ukraine west to escape the Russian army that was invading. They were a German family working in Russia, and then, Russia and Germany were at war there, so they were trying to the Germans were protecting them, escaping from the Russians. But anyway, that particular book, there's a point to this, the reason I'm bringing it up.
I know. It takes a while to get there, but we are going to arrive.
So the point of that story, as they go through all these trials and tribulations, is that the mother in the family had in her mind that she was going to visit this green valley, and that's where they were going to spend the rest of their lives. And she always told the kids about the Green Valley. Mm-hmm. So the book's called The Last Green Valley. And do you know where the last Green Valley ended up being?
This is not fiction. This is fact, right?
Right. It was Bozeman.
Bozeman.
Yeah.
I see where this story now. Why you told the story, coming full circle back to Bozeman.
Right. And the author of the book, Mark Sullivan, lives in Bozeman. So
I think I was offered a radio job there years ago.
in Bozeman?
When I first started in radio in Flagstaff, Arizona, but of course, being from San Diego, there was a salesman there, and he said, "Hey, I'm going to be moving to Bozeman. I can probably get you a job on the air." And I thought about it for like 5 seconds, and I went, "I don't think so," because my plan was to finish up in Flagstaff and come back to San Diego to get into radio. But Bozeman was on my radar.
Well, it's funny in the book when the family from the story ends up in Bozeman, it's just before winter or just as winter's coming in. And
oh, boy.
And the father goes, it's just like, this is worse than Siberia.
Okay, so the rest of your agenda today, it's hot. What happens around your place?
Yesterday I watered and I didn't quite finish the watering, so I'm going to water a few things this morning. But then one of the members, Becky, one of the members of the Coastal Rose Society, collected rose cuttings from a house in Del Mar yesterday.
Okay.
And she brought them over, so I'm going to start some of the cuttings, but then others I'm going to try to get budwood in Monday. I'm going to mail them off to Wisconsin to have those budded up. It's a collection of roses from Europe that right now is unidentified, but they're really rare. Mostly tea roses and China roses.
Okay, we're going to wrap things up here. Don't forget, go to our webpage, gardenamerica.com.
Yeah, and even if you're thinking you may want to go to Costa Rica, at least go. The itinerary's
Right.
up, so you can see day by day where we're going, and the hotels are there. And to be honest, I haven't looked at the hotels, but Tiger's really excited about them.
And if you have friends, family, maybe they don't listen to the show, they can start listening, and maybe they just want to go to Costa Rica.
Yeah.
So everybody is welcome. Again, that's gardenamerica.com. Any part of this show that you want to rewatch, you can go to our YouTube channel, Garden America Radio Show this afternoon. Our webmaster, Daniel, will upload today's show. You can also look at and watch many, many other shows from the past couple, 2 or 3 years. They're all up there.
Many.
Numerous.
Wow.
Talking numerous. Hey, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you for tuning in this morning. Thank you to our sponsors, Fertilome, Mosquito Dunks, and, of course, Root Warrior, which is on people's radar now. You can also go to our website, gardenamerica.com, direct link there. Also, somebody posted the link on our Facebook page to Root Warrior, which is plantwarrior.com.
Right. Also, our podcast, somebody mentioned, go to that.
Go to our podcast. So many ways to listen and watch our show, but we're out of time. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Until next week, for the entire crew, I'm Brian Main, John Begnasco, Tiger Palafox. Have a good one. Get growing, and we'll see you next week. Take care.